We are back on The Source. Here to talk about American politics with us, we have an associate professor in political science at Brock University, also director of the Niagara Observatory, Dr. Charles Conteh. Welcome to the program, Charles.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So we sit here and we know the election results, but we have the previous president sitting there saying that he won't accept those results. What does this actually mean between now and January when Joe Biden should be taking that seat?
Well, unfortunately, Mike, it does mean quite some unprecedented state of uncertainty, some degree of chaos. They're kind of navigating through a pretty weird territory at this point. What it boils down to, everyone is hoping that by the end of this week, we'll get a better sense of what the future holds for the next few weeks until January 20th. But as it stands, confusion, chaos, anarchy, these are the realities.
When you look at the American electoral system and the electoral college system, is it not an obvious solution would be to change that situation, the way they actually go to the polls, so that something like this never happens again?
You definitely would think so. And increasingly, folks are thinking about the need, the urgency, as a matter of fact, for some rethink or redesign of that system. Increasingly, with demographic shifts, what you have is more and more every passing electoral cycle, the deficiencies inbuilt in the electoral college system are becoming revealed. So I think the pressure is mounting. We'll have to see what the conversation would look like, whether they will find the will and the means to actually make the reforms. But I would agree with you, Mike, that there is a need to redesign that whole system for democracy to really have the legitimacy that it needs.
Is it likely in your mind that they would approve of a different system ever in the United States?
My assessment, Mike, is that if you have a divided Congress, now by all estimation, it's very possible that the Senate will fall back into the hands of the Republicans. We'll have to wait for the Georgia runoff to know exactly how that goes. But if you have a divided Congress, the likelihood is very, very slim. If the Democrats manage to pull off the runoff elections, the likelihood is pretty high because, quite frankly, there is a growing frustration. There is a pent-up anger about the injustice and the unfairness and the illegitimacy of the whole electoral college system. So I think that if the Democrats manage to clinch both houses, you would see Biden pushing that agenda, potentially putting together a commission that may study the issue. It won't be unlikely. Again, that nation is ready for it. But because the system benefits the Republicans and they currently hold the Senate, that changes. It's very unlikely that you'll see the reform that we're talking about.
President Trump continues to be active on Twitter. Yesterday, he caused a storm by tweeting that Biden won, but the election was rigged. By using those first two words, Biden won, a lot of people jumped on that and said he actually conceded that he lost the election. Is that the way you see that?
I would definitely say that he's beginning to sort of grasp reality. But again, he quickly backtracked, as we all know, kind of doubling down on denial of reality. So yes, we know there's some cracks, but I think it will take some time. My projection, Mike, is that by the end of this week, when the courts would have made some more declarations, we all know that the accusations are baseless, but you got to let the system, sort of take its course. That's the only way to get the wind out of the sail of this whole denial. My suspicion, my projection is that by the end of the week, I think you'll have a better grasp of reality, and we might begin to see change in body language and potentially a concession. But again, too early to say. Let us see how this week ends, and I'm hoping for a change.
Dr. Conteh, we have still a very divided United States of America. A lot of people were expecting more of a landslide kind of victory for Joe Biden. And really, it's so close. And for it to be so close that we had to wait for those states to come in before we could declare it. What does this mean for the next 4 years for the new administration?
Mike, like you, we were all quite surprised by the outcome. I think it does reveal a lot about the U.S. body politic. The fact of the matter is that the legacy of Trumpism is deeply embedded in the fabric of U.S. politics. He has managed to really shape the discourse. He has managed to galvanize, deep-seated fears in the American body politic. So the long and short is that even with the Biden presidency, you will still continue to see sort of the polarization, anger, populism and the like for the next 4 years. But again, on the upside, regardless of these challenges, what I see is that, look, we know after January 20th, 2021, we'll begin to see an end to reckless disregard for science and policy discourse on a range of issues like climate change, COVID-19 and the like. At least we'll begin to see an end to the kind of the dangerous racist demagoguery in which the president is attacking fellow citizens, liberal values, democratic institutions, the architecture of global cooperation. Despite the ongoing polarization and the challenges of the Biden presidency, at least, Mike, we should see some relief from the bulldozer politics of Trumpism, right? A presidency that has caused massive domestic chaos, geopolitical tensions, runaway COVID-19 pandemic in our country, economic meltdown. So long and short is that we should see a shift in trajectory to something better. But again, the challenges, the polarization, the anger, the populism will still be there. So Biden has an uphill climb to make.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't take him the full 4 years of his first administration to solve those issues. Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Conteh.
You're more than welcome, Mike. Always a pleasure.